Welcome to Financial Independence Retire Early in South Africa. My name is Bird. This is episode number 20. I'm really excited. Congratulations to the entire community, honestly. Thank you to everybody that watches, comments, likes, subscribes, shares the content with anybody else who they think will find the content relevant. Every time you hit me on WhatsApp, every time you hit me on Facebook, every time you comment or like I said, it really does keep me motivated, keeps me excited, keeps me on my toes, it keeps me consistent enough to get to 20 episodes. Yay, all of us. Jeez, man, thank you. Again, I hope you subscribe, and then you share this content again with anybody who you think will find it relevant. This is Financial Independence Retire Early. So to celebrate episode number 20, we're reading a book, right? Because that's what we do. We do active research and knowledge application. So we're reading a book for episode number 20, and it's a special book, by a wonderful, wonderful lady called Kabelo, affectionately known as Lioness. So Kabelo Lioness Matjokotja. Kabelo Lioness Matjokotja. No, I'm gonna say this name again because you have to remember it. She's gonna do great things in the future. She's already doing great things. This lady, Kabelo Lioness Matjokotja, all the way from Mafefe, yes, in the beautiful, beautiful Limpopo province, where I'm also from. So I'm excited about that too. It's my first female, authored book, right? And also go home girl, so gotta represent. Yeah, man, Kabelo Lioness Matjokotja. She's all about African leadership, So even the name of the book, Genetics of Leadership, right? She's all about African leadership. She's interested in learning about public speaking because she's actively building herself as a leader and as a business leader. She's a businesswoman. She's a public speaker. She's an author. She's a philanthropist. In the businesses of, she has a cleaning services company, and also she has a public library. So as we say, readers are leaders and leaders are writers. So Kabelo is well on her way. She's authored quite a number of books. As I said, she has a library of books. She's an active reader, an active writer, an active leader in business and other spaces. All about African leadership. She's taking us, as in her own words, she is taking us to the promised land. Throughout all the hills and challenges that African people have, she is getting herself ready to lead us to the promised land, in the hands that we deserve as African citizens, and she believes she can create and she can become the type of leadership that Africa deserves, right? This is Kabelo Lioness Matjokotja. I remember the name. Genetics of Leadership is a book. She's all about African leadership, public speaker, businesswoman, philanthropist, investor, author, and leader. Kabelo Lioness Matjokotja, The Genetics of Leadership. I really, really enjoyed this book. This was, it is a short book. So I read it in a week. Actually, I'm lying. I read it over 2 weeks and I read it 3 times. So it took me a week to finish it the first time. But I read it twice in the next week. So about a week, 2 weeks and a half, I was able to read it 3 times. And I read it 3 times because it's that good. It really, really is that good. It's a short book, 10 chapters, about 20 or so pages. It can take you a week to read it through, but you're going to read it multiple times because it is that good. And I read it so many times because I was really trying to get all this information, all these lessons to properly soak into my mind because it is such a great book. The Genetics of Leadership by Kabelo Lioness Matjokotja. One of my favorite chapters from the book. It's a book on leadership, right? Genetics of Leadership. So she breaks down, the 10 points that she believes is what it takes, to become a good leader, and the kind of leadership, that we deserve, and the kind of leadership that can call itself, effective, and good leadership. So she wrote all about what it takes, and what it means to be an effective and good leader in the African context. Continent and context, actually. So I use my mouth and don't know which of the words to say, but in the African continent and in the African context. So my favorite chapter, one of my favorite chapters, was where she speaks about becoming a catalyst for change, right? Becoming a catalyst for change, and in her own words, is an excerpt from the book, like I always do. So I'm going to read what she says in her own words from the book about being a catalyst for change. Allow me to hypothesize that catalysts, as much as they are drivers for change, they don't confine themselves. It starts with being a free spirit. Those with free spirit as the leaders are they, those who are not fearful of being wrong as we initiate change, as we initiate creativity and driving an acceleration of development in industries worldwide. Be that change is not coming to us. We are going for a change. Huh? Huh? Isn't that just beautiful? I'm gonna read it again. Okay, it looks like the lightings get weird, but look, we're gonna keep going. She says, allow me to hypothesize that catalysts, as much as they are drivers for change, they don't confine themselves. It starts with being a free spirit. Those with the free spirit, us the leaders, are they, those who are not fearful of being wrong as we initiate change, as we initiate creativity and drive the acceleration of development in industries worldwide. Be that change is not coming to us. We are going for change. Man, I loved it. I loved it. And I don't know if, just the language, because yes, the book is wonderful, even in the vocabulary that's used in the book. It's so well written. The vocabulary is amazing. You can kind of feel her sincerity as she writes, you know what I'm saying? And I can tell you, maybe again, the language kind of spoke to me as a scientist, and she talks about, not being fearful for being wrong and also being catalysts for change. And as a scientist, trust me, I know in order to get the right results, you need to go and make mistakes in the sense that you're going to try your hypothesis, you're going to try the experiment, and then you're not going to get it right the first time. But that's exactly what you're trying to do. You're trying to cut out all of the wrong ways until you find the correct way. As one man once said, I did not fail 1,000 times. I just found 1,000 times that don't work. And that's what it means, to be an effective scientist. We use the law of deduction. You cancel out all of the ways that don't work until you find the ways that work. And when she speaks about being wrong, I can tell you maybe it's the poverty that we go through, and maybe it's the oppression, again, that we go through as Africans, but we don't have any room for mistakes. We're trying to get it right the first time, but you need to fail fast and you need to fail forward, I understand. But we also need to provide the room for failing, giving so much pressure to people to get it right the first time, putting so much pressure on young people to not make mistakes as they're trying to learn, kind of pushes us away from being creative, kind of pushes away from being innovative, because we're being punished for being creative. We're being punished for being innovative. We're being punished for finding out the ways that don't work as we're trying to find the ways that work. So, being punished for being creative, being punished for being innovative is not going to work. I mean, again, the whole fail fast, fail forward thing comes from a place like Silicon Valley. And they'll tell you in Silicon Valley that they prefer people to fail. They prefer people that will take risks, people that will try out new things, because those are the people that are confident enough, and ambitious enough and courageous enough to find the solutions that we're trying to find. And again, going back to being a scientist, until I have to find the chemical equation that doesn't work until I find the perfect chemical equation that does, and when she spoke about being a catalyst, like I said, I was like, man, you are so right. Because we need people who are able to think outside the box. We need people that are creative. We need people that will try different things, people that will make errors and mistakes, and people that are not ostracized and punished for trying. That's what Africa needs. And she hit the nail right on the head where she speaks about being a catalyst. Kabelo Lioness Matjokotja, remember the name. She says, allow me to hypothesize that catalysts, as much as they are drivers for change, they don't confine themselves. It starts with being a free spirit. Those with the free spirit, that's us, the leaders. We are those who are not fearful of being wrong as we try to initiate change, as we try to initiate creativity and drive acceleration of development in industries across the world. Be that change is not coming to us, yo. We're gonna go for the change, and that's what it takes, to be a great leader. So I love this chapter, being a catalyst. And I completely agree. And even going forward, another chapter that I really enjoyed reading is when Kabelo talks about the power of silence, right? The power of silence, how silence is important in leadership. In her own words, she says, being silent makes you a great communicator. The silence is required of you so that you can understand your audience or your clients. Silence is undeniably a leadership strategy. Being silent and letting someone speak up, even when you're in a position of authority, doesn't only show the other that you trust their capacity and vocabulary, but you allow them to express the courage and to speak out. Africa needs that kind of leadership, the kind of leadership that sees and nurtures the potential in others. Rooting for each other is important. Man, Kabbalah's dropping these gems, man. These are 10 chapters full of gems. Man, the power of silence. I'm going to read it again. Being silent makes you a great communicator. The silence is required of you so that you may understand your audience or your clients. Silence is undeniably a leadership strategy. Being silent and letting someone speak up, even when you're in a position of authority, doesn't only show the other that you trust their capacity or vocabulary, but you allow them to express their courage and to speak out. Africa needs this kind of leadership, the kind of leadership that will see and nurture potential in others. Rooting for others is important. These are gems, dog. Like I'm telling you, Africa needs the kind of leadership that will see the potential and develop in others. We need to stop seeing each other as competition all the time. Collaboration is the new competition. Collaboration, unity is our strength. And the problem with, especially even at a presidential level, at the top of our leaders, they don't have like succession strategies. Very few of our leaders have active, functional succession strategies where it's like, okay, I'm the leader. Even if I'm going to be leader for 60 years, this is who's going to effectively take after me. And I do not condone African presidents staying in power for 20 years, 30 years, but even then they still don't have like effective succession strategies, and that is a blow, because it leaves so much room for things like coups, for things like cultural takeovers, for things like foreign interference. Because once you become ineffective to the foreign power, even if you've been in power for 30 years, once you become ineffective, then they just like find the next guy and they use your ineffectiveness as the reason to like destabilize the country, destabilize the region. So having effective succession strategies, having leaders that will see the potential in others, having leaders that are effectively and actively building potential, building confidence, building capacity in younger generation, and actually preparing them for leadership, that is something that we definitely need as Africans. But even more than that, she speaks about silence, the power of effective communication when you're a leader, and the strength that listening can have. And I can acknowledge that Africans, we're still going through struggle politics and struggle economics, in the sense that we're still going through oppression, and poverty and things like that. So we need confident, arrogant, boastful people that are gonna like definitely stand up against our oppressors and things like that. But at the same time, we need the kind of leadership that is like empathetic enough and effective enough to actually just calm down and listen, because we mistake the loudest person in the room for being the smartest or for being the strongest. We mistake the most arrogant person in the room for being the most effective leader, and that's not always the case. Just because you're the loudest, just because you're seemingly the strongest, just because you're the most confident or the cockiest or the most arrogant, just because you can threaten people or you seem the strongest person in the room, doesn't necessarily make you the leader. We might need that. Yes, we might need that when we're like effectively going against our enemies, and we need like really confident, arrogant people to like just courageous, just break the door down and like change the shit up. But at the same time, leadership requires peace and war. You need to be able to handle your constituency and your task during times of peace and war as a leader. So during times of peace, even during times of war, you need to listen to your strategy by your advisors. You need to listen to what the people on the ground are saying. You need to be able to listen effectively as a leader. And I feel that sometimes, as Africans, or in my experience as an African, we do not have leaders that are willing to listen to their constituency, or leaders that are willing to effectively listen to people that may be in a so-called position that is lower than they are. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I feel like this book is full of gems. And this book definitely, as she said, the genetics of leadership, this book definitely breaks down, right? And puts them bare, simply point by point. Like I said, it took me a week to finish this, but it was so good. I read it 3 times in 2.5 weeks. Okay, because I needed all these genetics, all these specific building blocks of leadership to make sense to me. And trust me, they do make sense. The Genetics of Leadership by Kabelomatjokotja. I'm going to read again what she says about the power of silence, and one more time about being a catalyst, because that's what we do, right? The power of silence, y'all. Being silent makes you a great communicator. The silence is required of you so that you may understand your audience and clients. Silence is undeniably a leadership strategy. Being silent and letting someone speak up, even when you're in a position of leadership and authority, doesn't only show the other person that you trust their capacity and vocabulary, but you allow them to express their courage and to speak up. Africa needs this kind of leadership, the leadership that will see and nurture potential in others. Rooting for each other is important, okay? And being a catalyst. Allow me to hypothesize that catalysts, as much as they are drivers for change, they don't confine themselves. It starts with being a free spirit. Those with free spirits as the leaders are they those who are not fearful of being wrong, as we initiate change, as we initiate creativity and driving acceleration of development in the industries worldwide. We understand that change is not going to come to us. We have to go for change. The Genetics of Leadership by Kabelomatjokotja. Man, look, if you want this book, I'm going to leave her email address. Okay, so you can email her directly and get the book yourself. Okay, you better email her, okay, and get this book. Costs about 50 rands, I think. It's $5. So get the book and read it. It's full with gems. These are portions of chapters that I've read, and there's like 8 more chapters to go, like I said, I'm gonna leave her details in the description below. Hit her up, but also hit me up. I'm gonna leave my WhatsApp like I always do: Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and so forth. Thank you for watching. Thank you for liking and subscribing. Share this content with anybody else who you think will find this relevant. Buy the book. Buy the book. Buy the book. Support the queen. She deserves this, and she's gonna make a great leader. She's becoming a great leader. She's becoming a great businesswoman. It's wonderful watching her on this journey. And she needs all of our support as she builds herself up to become the kind of leader that she knows we deserve. You know what I'm saying? Genetics of Leadership by Kabelomatjokotja. This is Financial Independence. Retire early. My name is Bird. Bye.